Hi Libra, welcome to your week ahead tarot scope with me, Raphael from Reydiant Reality. It's an absolute pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining me for your first week ahead tarot scope of 2023, with me at least anyway. For your key to the week this week, you have the Hanged Man. All right, so this card does very often represent delays, all right? And so at the moment, we've got Mars currently retrograde in the sign of Gemini, which is actually pouring a harmonious energy into your sign because it's also a fellow air sign. However, Mars is going to go direct on the 12th of January. So this is a big moment for all of us, right? This is the end of what's felt like an absolute eternity of a retrograde. And it's because Mars really doesn't like going retrograde. It's in a rough sort of state to be doing what it does right now. That being said, the Hanged Man as your key to the week suggests that this week a way that you can get around potential delays, issues and problems would be to step back and let things play out the way that they are wanting to, rather than trying to sort of rush in and say, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to make sure this and this happens. Forget the sequence. All right, this isn't to say throw all of your plans in the bin or chuck the baby out with the bathwater, but it does suggest that this week surrender to the current of what is, so that whatever is trying to unfold can unfold, and then you can make your decision. So one of the things that I've said to all of my clients in personal readings, and I'm going to say to you guys now, I'm seeing the beginning of this year, certainly the Mars and the Mercury retrograde, right up to and including like the 18th, 19th of the year. It's like, you know, when you're on a bus or on a train or on a plane, as soon as you land or as soon as it stops, everybody rushes for the exit. And it just creates a bottleneck and you end up waiting X amounts of time anyway. Well, what if you stood back, waited for everybody else to act like a headless chicken or a moron, right, to do their thing, and then you got up at a leisurely pace and just went about your business, nice, smooth and easy. That is the way that you should approach this week, especially because you have the Hanged Man. There's not enough clarity here, even with Mars going direct in your fellow air sign of Gemini. There's not enough clarity here, so wait for things to unfold so that you can move through them patiently, easily and at your own pace. With that said, I would like to bless my deck of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity and abundance, and I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise and they help you on your path to your highest vibrational good. So for your actions and options with the world at large this month, you have this week you have the Hanged Man, right? So look at this. The Hanged Man is asking you to wait, to step back, to surrender, to just let things be. The Hermit card suggests that in terms of what you're doing, you are working on something, but you're working on it behind the scenes. Whatever you've been doing, whatever you are working on at the moment, it's not quite cooked yet. It's not quite ready. So this is basically you maybe taking it back to the drawing board, potentially stripping some things away from what you're working on to kind of say, okay, does this final format look like what I want it to look like? Does it really show up in the way that I'm hoping it will? The other thing with that Hanged Man as well, remember this is a card of withdrawal from the world. So this week you might be kind of stepping back or stepping out of the fray so that you can reassess, reevaluate what it is that you're doing. For your communications and conversations, you've got the Knight of Swords. Now, this is a somewhat more challenging energy because the Knight of Swords by its very nature can be fast and aggressive communication. You've got this with the Hanged Man, right? So I'm going to say this to you. You don't, even with Mars going direct on the 12th, you don't launch into something this week. You don't kind of get into it with anyone. If someone wants to bring something to you and they kind of start... The reason I say this is because the Hanged Man, there's obviously some confusion still in the air, and the Knight of Swords, if you absolutely go in on this, you could really, you know, tip the boat only to realize, oh my gosh, this is a complete misunderstanding. And then you've said or you've done something that you're kind of like, can't really take that one back now. So take your time with it, especially where there seems to be a miscommunication, or if someone says something to you that you kind of think, cognitive dissonance kicks in and you're not really 100% sure they either know what they're talking about or they have the right person. Do you know what I mean? And I would be mindful of hearsay and gossip over the course of this week because it may end up turning around to bite you in the butt. Now, that being said, for those of you that are studying or in some form of academia, This week, it looks like you're going against the grain, right? So you come straight back into school, university, whatever it might be. And as you do, you might find that everybody else is kind of like, yeah, it's this, it's this, it's this. And whatever you're doing or whatever you've done or whatever direction you're choosing to go, it kind of is completely in the opposite vein of everybody else. You got two options here. You can hold fast to what you've done and what you believe was the right decision or move to make. And see where everybody's at. And I gotta be honest with you, this is one of those times where I feel like while everybody else is singing from the same hymn sheet, you may just find that you are the person that's in the right and you actually understood the assignment much better than anybody else in class, whatever that means to you. When it comes to those of you that are employed by somebody else, I would step back, right? That analogy with the plane, the train, or the bus, this really holds true for those of you that are employed by somebody else, because the Knight of Swords, it's like someone or something at work is trying to push things forward really fast. No, we got to, get in, we got to hit it, bam, bam, bam. And it's like, it's too quick, it's too soon, right? It's whatever it is, it's not quite ready, or it doesn't look as, polished, let's say, as the Librans might like it. For those of you that are business owners, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, I would be mindful of clashing heads or swords, should I say, butting heads or clashing swords with another business owner this week, especially if you're not really sure why you're doing it. Like, it's one thing to have a disagreement. Astrologers do it all the time. Tarot readers do it quite often. It doesn't mean that one of you is right or more better than the other. It just means you have a difference of opinions. And if you turn it into, a thing, it could get ugly. All right. So just be mindful of that. And it doesn't have to be in the businesses that I just mentioned. It can be across the board. For those of you that are retired and no longer working, this would be a very good week, especially in a universal 7-year, right? This would be a very good week, actually, to spend some time alone, specifically on the, forget the specifically, but this would actually be a good week to spend some time alone, to spend some time in quiet solitude. And the reason I'm suggesting this for you guys is because you have the time to do it. All right, like everybody else, if you're retired, you have more disposable time income, which is amazing. If you're not working at the moment, rather than just being so focused on finding a job and stressing and worrying about it, take some time to enjoy the time that you actually have, because obviously when you go back to work, it's a completely different story. For your love and relations, you've got the 9 of Cups. This is beautiful. So for you, your relationship is actually in a very good space. You've got this here with the Hermit card. Absence definitely makes the heart grow fonder this week. So it does look like you and your significant other, for those of you that are partnered, married, or in long-term commitments, it looks like you and your partner are spending a period of this week away from each other, and it's actually only serving to make you love, care, and honor and cherish each other even more. Now, that being said, there is a potential here for a disagreement, and that disagreement is going to come when you start adding other people to the mix. Whatever's going on in your relationship this week, keep it private. When it comes to your those of you that are single and looking, the 9 of Cups under the Hermit card, this is kind of like me, myself, and I are good, right? We don't need anybody else at this moment in time. And that's not to say that you're love adverse or that you're not going to be able to find anyone. It just means that you're self-sufficient at this moment. And actually, when you're in that space, that very attractive space of not needing anyone or wanting anything, already being whole and complete within yourself, that's when you're the most attractive, and it's where you can actually pull a partner in, right? And this is one of the reasons that challenges happen in relationships, because people do so much work manifesting a person. I'm calling in this specific person. They make themselves into that person, and then once they get the relationship, they just go back to who they were. What was the point in all of that work that you did? Like, literally, what was the point? Don't come from a place of lack, come from a place of wholeness, and you will have and be able to maintain and keep everything that you manifest into your life. For your money and materials, you have the Sun card. Get your money. I love it. All right, so you've got this here with the Knight of Swords. So finances, money and resources might be sort of tense conversations potentially this week, but your finances and your resources, certainly the flow of your money, is actually very good. I kind of feel like that's the rub of it though. It's like money is flowing really well, the finances are there, the resources are okay, the material stuff, let's say, is taken care of, and you're just not focused on that. You've got other things that are taking your time, your effort and your energy. When it comes to your physical health and vitality, it's the Sun, so health is good this week. Although you do have the Hanged Man here, so I am going to say, if there is something that you do eat, ingest or imbibe that you know is not very good for you, the after effects of that this week could be heightened, because the Hanged Man can speak to toxicity. Luckily, you've got the Sun card, so it will probably be relatively short-lived, but you just want to be, you know, a little careful. With that said, also when it comes to your home and your environment, this week, it's not even so much that I think you should clean, but I do feel like you should find a way to let the light and the air and the year into your home, right? If you're anything like me, throw open the windows, throw open all of the doors, go through the house, you know, singing, burning some incense, do all of that stuff to really invite those good, happy, easy, positive energies into your world this week. All right, with that said, I wish you an abundance of all of that good stuff. Have a fantastic week. Let me know in the comments how it shapes up. Take care, and I'll see you soon.